like the element of
The most important aspect of being a South Sudanese is that I value myself as a survivor, as someone who struggle for recognition in a human society.
Whenever I'm asked to introduce myself, I always begin with my identity, and I see that in my peers as well. I'll always say I'm from South Sudan, and then I'll say that my family lives in Omaha, Nebraska. But for me, I understand that I'm still South Sudanese first, and that it is a place that I'm going to go back to. I think that's instilled in us by our parents. And so my identity is still as a South Sudanese man first.
The resources of the country, some parts of the country are gifted in terms of animal resources. And if you name other communities, they do have agriculture as their own source of livelihood. This became a problem when now one community do not respect the livelihood of the other.
Tribalism.
Tribalism, yeah.
Yes,
You see it on social media,
yeah.
just, I don't know.
It's like everybody picking side. You got to side with your family. You have to side with your clans.
Be proud of your tribe. Like, always look for where your tribe gonna succeed. Like, if you want to do good for your people, do good for your people. Nobody's stopping you. But when it comes to a country, because it's something that bigger than, like, your country come first, and that's why you have to put South Sudan, because like if South Sudan falls, don't think like a tribe can survive on its own.
We have all the resources that if our country was to understand how those things are allocated, would have actually been the strongest nation. But that did not happen because one, people do not know that they are one country. They don't understand that the existence of one another will actually strengthen our being than actually fighting ourselves.
What is happening there is for those who are there. It's for the government and it's for the opposition, you know. So we should not separate ourselves based on what is happening back at home. But we need to have a unity here and be together.
I want to have my community. I have a rich culture. I have a rich country. I have a beautiful country. I have a beautiful people that I want them to be known outside there. But there's no any way that I can, represent my people out there with all this mess.
Why are we so divided? If we don't understand and we don't ask ourselves serious questions, we will never achieve anything.
We've been trying to have peace. We've been trying to come together. And also it's not something that's going to happen overnight. It's going to take years to do. But it all starts with us, honestly.
everybody deprived. Yeah. Everybody
South Sudanese people in general, from the beginning of time, have been going through a lot of stuff, like the longest civil war to date.
If you look on Sudan, the way how Sudan is defined or described, naturally, the northern part is desert, the southern part is forest. The northern part are Muslims inhabitants, the southern part is Christian. So naturally, there's something that tells these people are not together. The struggles of South Sudan started during and even before the British left the country.
Things have never been good. I saw a picture that was it was like 7.8 million from this country. 4.2 of them are displaced. 1.8 displaced internally, like in the country. And the numbers were just really crazy. And I'm just like, we've never honestly just had a period in time where we were just at peace.
South Sudanese, because they were marginalized group, they felt always not part of the whole Sudan. And that did not start in the 90s or in the 80s. It started from 40s.
It has a really horrendous, like, dirty, like, skeletons under the rug type of, like, history. And they don't speak on it, and it scares me sometimes. Like, what did they go through? Their eyes can just tell you a lot of stories, even the ones that are there right now.
In 1947, that was the first time South Sudanese came together through the representation of our chiefs, the local chiefs, who had the 1947 Juba Conference.
And I feel like as a people, as a whole community, to have such a horrendous history, to have such a horrendous past, and we're still here.
My brother went back home in 1997, and my hometown was being bombarded by the government of Sudan.
All the things that happened in Sudan then, even before we were born, were all in favor of the Northerners. Then Southerners felt like they are considered second or third class citizens in their own country.
Thinking about my mother being pregnant, in labor, walking to jail.
Every time we travel, we were going to school, we were walking like 2 hours a day to go there, another 2 hours to come back home. But there are weeks where we're not lucky. The antelopes will come and bomb our school, and then the authorities will cancel our school for another 1 month or 2 months.
The 10 years there was interim kind of relative peace, and then another war broke out. That war broke out because when Sudan signed a peace in 1972, there was a belief that Sudan was going to treat its own citizens equal wherever they came, whether south or north. But that did not happen. So Southerners felt like they have been cheated. They end up going back into rebelling against the government.
That to me is really powerful, and that to me shows that, like, there's an inner strength within us that's like, it has to be a DNA thing, because how can one little country go through so much and never fold?
So when he went there in 97, he told my parents that I want to take my brothers to Kenya and study there with me. So me and my other brother, the one that's older than me, he brought us to Kenya. My brother came there 98, and then I got to refugees camp in 1999. So when I got there were a resettlement process that was taking place. So I joined that, and I was lucky to be accepted and come to United States in 2001.
I told the kids that we have in our program, I'm like, you need to realize who you are. Like, when you, I said this at the Ross kickoff, I was like, when you wake up every day and you put your feet on the ground and go about your day, walk like you have like 1,000 ancestors behind you. Because there's strength in their stories, there's power in their stories.
What happened is, though people had the spirit of wanting to be a country, they voted by 97.9%. The only missing link was that they were only against the North, because that was a common enemy. They all understand that their problem was in the North, not knowing that among ourselves, we have not even learned to live together as a community, because we do not know each other before.
My first time that I reached to New York, and then from New York to Omaha, Nebraska, it was like, where am I going? And how I'm gonna live this life.
Of course, the cultural shock is another challenge that we have. The way how people's expectations are not being met is another challenge that we have.
My mom to this day is still trying to like do English classes through Metro, because it's like, so it's like, where was this at when you first came to America? Where was that hope? Where was that transitioning phase? It wasn't there.
They are not to blame, but it is the system here to blame, because the system decided to bring people based on emotion or sympathy. but not knowing that where they are bringing these people is going to be a different context, a different society altogether.
Yeah, there was a lot of bullying that happened, and we could never pinpoint why or where.
When you say South Sudanese, a lot of people tend to think of a refugee. Like when you say South Sudanese, you think about tribes and like the war, and like coming here, living like in America, like a South Sudanese, like at the beginning, like it kind of makes you feel like you're an inferior being.
When I first arrived here back in 2004, there's a lot of challenges me, trying to get along with African Americans. I felt like they looked down on Africans in general.
I think it's fear, right? It's, oh, I saw this on the media, and so as soon as I see you on the media and the media said you're doing negative things, the next time I see you drive past my car, I'm gonna be kind of afraid.
In March, there was an indictment that was done by the U.S. Marshals and federal governments and OPD, and they've been watching a bunch of gang members for a very long time, harassed a lot of Sudanese people. People's houses were getting raided. It was too big of a group for them to just like label it as one, but they labeled it as just the Tripset gang, and Tripset is like a majority Nuer tribal group. The months that followed this whole indictment, and just the media was plastered with just like, these Sudanese kids are like a danger to our society. They're like, it was completely false. I mean, the portion, like the number compared to like who they all like arrested doesn't even make up all Sudanese people. So it's like, why are you pushing this narrative?
I think the law enforcement need to have more time with South Sudanese communities. If event like that happened, they should have come back and asked South Sudanese community leaders how this is happening. What can we do to change the perception of these children?
The damage that it causes, like imagine stuff like being called as African booty scratcher, or like being picked on because your skin is slightly darker than the other person. Imagine the damage it creates, especially on
You're
kids.
never gonna forget that.
Yeah, like you kind of feel like there's something wrong with your skin because it's a little bit dark.
Back to the whole Tripset gang, like they were created in the South Projects because of the fact that
We were
they had to
bullied.
fight off African Americans. Like they had to literally like defend themselves and like defend their turf, etc. So it was like deeper than just name calling in third grade.
I've been here since 2004, and so growing up, I've kind of seen it. What the media says about the violence that might be happening in our community doesn't tell the full story of the human beings behind that violence. So this same person that they're portraying at the media as violence, a gang member, he really wants his community members to do better. It's just that his environment hasn't allowed him to go through the barriers. He's adapted to it in order to survive.
Media have portrayed us to a point where we feel like we miss, the concept of being a good person, good human.
And as soon as they see that one negative thing, that one slip up, they're gonna attack. They don't want to come to the summits that we hold. They don't want to come to the cultural dances that we hold.
I spoke with a lady from KETV, literally, like I was telling her everything, and she just never followed through with like actually reporting it. And that's when I realized they have an agenda. They don't really care to see what we're doing or the good that we have going on. They rather push this. And the comments had me sick to my stomach.
We didn't come to this country for advancement. I mean, we didn't come for adventure, for that matter. We came here for a life, a matter of life and death. But if our children are not having a fair shot, then what are we doing here,
And so I always feel like we have to prove ourselves as South Sudanese. It doesn't matter if we're in a suit or if we're in jeans and a t-shirt.
Suit makes it better a little bit, but
a little bit, but it's still, you got to prove yourself.
How y'all play me like I ain't starting? Most valuable, beg your pardon, I'm back to Garden. Back to Harlem, some special moments at it in, rub it in, you was just a genie. Granting all our wishes, let us all imagine.
Let's ask ourselves, why are we having problems? What is it that we want to achieve as a country, as people?
Unity, togetherness, regardless of tribe, regardless of clan, regardless. It's like you put all that pride, everything to the side, and let's just be great.
I think everyone's kind of like just enclosed off into their own little groups. Like we know there's a presence, there's a South Sudanese presence, but like it's not unified to where we're South Sudanese. Like there's like the Nuers over here, there's the Dinkas over here, Equatorians, like it's all kind of broken up.
I would say it's very cliquish when it comes to events, because we'll host positive events and we'll invite, every member from every single community, but you won't really see them come out and support us. Maybe you'll see, a handful, 5, 10. But it's nice to see like the youth are starting to, get along. They're here to support, but it's the elders that we face problems with because they're so stuck in that negative mindset from issues that are happening back home that they're trying to bring it over here. They're trying to, it's just a lot of negativity, I would say, a lot of negativity.
When I came here in 2000, all Southern Sudanese, we don't have kind of this from this tribe or this from this tribe. Since the war broke in 2013 back home, it affects people out here more than people back home. People start calling themselves to their own tribe, and people start separating themselves. Even the closer person, the closer friends, everybody start become different other people. So it's affecting us more out here.
Some of them are open-minded though, which is nice. But sometimes it's like we feel like we're taking one step forward, but then we reverse a little bit, and so it's difficult. But it's nice to see those who are open, those who are trying, that want to be involved and that want to see a change. Because I know some people do want to see a change. They don't try to let what's happening back home affect us here. Like he said, it's the next generation, which I feel like is our generation, that's going to change that.
All the good work we're doing for the kids, and even for the community, because we're not only doing this for the kids, it's to bring the whole community together. That's just it.
I'm so happy and I'm so glad that these young people here, they are more wise than us, that they don't care about what's going on, or they don't care about whose tribe and whose tribe at all. What they want, that they want the future. What they want, that they want their community. What they want, that they want what's going to be tomorrow for them. That's what they want.
The greatest struggle for us to overcome, I would say it's coming together.
At the end of the day, we all South Sudanese.
South Sudan comes it's a name that comes with a lot of weight. It's a name that comes with a lot of struggles, but still you exist. Although you've been through a lot of struggle, you still exist. It helps me know where I am and what my value is, and through knowing my value, I'm able to communicate, because when you know where you're from, you're able to navigate through your life with it.
I do feel like if we can overcome that and just try to convince the grown-ups or the elders, let's just for once get along and unite, and maybe we can see and acknowledge our differences. It will be one of the greatest achievements we will achieve. So.
The differences are so basic. Perception. The younger generation perceive the older generation as people who do not know, or who know little.
There's a lot of issues that are wrong with the way they think, but even now, they're Americanized to a certain extent. They have iPhones, they have Facebooks, they could text, but there are some things that they'll never cross, and that's their thought process, you know. And that's the tough part, is trying to get through to them from a standpoint where they could be you know what, you are right. Pride is really big in our community. People have pride and they'll die with it.
And the older generation perceive the young one as people who are very stubborn, who are lost.
In a couple of years, those kids will never know where they came from. What's their history? They don't know it.
And one biggest problem is that there is no communication between these two gaps, these two generations. There's a total communication breakdown.
The older generation, our generation, I think is the most cause of this. And the younger generation, they don't know what to do. They were looking up to us. Where they're gonna get that references if we are not united together?
The only thing is we need some sort of collective responsibility. Meeting from time to time, talk to them. We need to communicate between the young and the older generation, between those who are born here and those who came.
A lot of the older generations, like when they came to America, they were very enclosed. Like they didn't really mess with any other communities or like the white people. No, like they were just like to themselves. And I feel like we have to speak out. We have to like make these bridges, make these connections.
The future of Omaha community is the young generation itself.
I'm worried about you guys. I'm worried about my son tomorrow, where he's gonna be if he don't have no community.
I don't want the culture to die out as far as like our music, our language, our food. It's going down that path right now where it is gonna die out, but I'm hoping we can maintain something from that.
My life here in the United States is the most beautiful life that I had here. But my family back home, our entire country, South Sudan, they are in a sad and they are in a mess that I can't imagine when they're gonna have peace of mind, when they're gonna have like, to feel like they're home. I can say that I'm home now.
Like, yes, it is what happened in the past, and yes, we are living in the present, and yes, we're hoping and praying for a better future.
Not necessarily to forget, but you gotta accept some, some things and just move, and move on, and forgive. Yeah. Maybe the new upcoming generations, the one that went to school here or still go to school here, they can maybe grow up with open-minded and help with these situations.
My agenda is I want to see South Sudan having a recognition again. We cannot succeed unless we come together.
South Sudan, we are diverse.
South Sudan, we need to be together.
South Sudan, I'm Paul.
You South Sudanese, you are heroes of the world.
Not the takandangutu kang to Sudan. Ade anyani boku taling tingutu lopugilo gabelinga lega. Tinate.
South Sudan, resilience.
South Sudan, complicated. Top.
South Sudan, Dado Kiki.
South Sudan, land of the resilient people, Nay Tanab.